The following podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Alone in the Realm, a premium solo TTRPG podcast. I'm DV, your humble GM and adventurer. Alone in the Realm is a podcast where we let the dice drive the story, and we are along for the ride. No characters beyond death, and we let the dice lay where they fall. We'll be playing Mothership by Tuesday Night Games, and the Mega Dungeon module, Gradient Descent, by Luke Gearing. Gradient Descent, Episode 12. Here is a reminder of our characters. Ada, 7 out of 14 hit points. Wounds, 2. Stress, 10. Bends, 32. Therese Mons, 11 out of 17 hit points. Stress, 4. Bends, 13. Ollie Kenworth, 11 out of 11 hit points, reduced from 17. Wounds, 1. Stress, 18. Bends, 10. In the last episode, the crew successfully escaped the deep, though Ada and Ollie were both significantly wounded. Denzel had a tentative agreement with Grace for them to receive treatments on her ship, though the cost was yet to be determined. He was then summoned to a meeting at the blockade with a representative from Hasmos, checking on their progress. After that meeting concluded, the blockade commander, Rachel Kilroy, offered him some clandestine work that she needed done on the deep. Now we'll see what Ada got up to while we focused on Denzel last episode. Expected scene. Get treatment for Ada and Ollie. Our chaos factor is currently 8. Now we'll test the scene with a d10. We got a 7, an altered scene. We'll go ahead and roll on the altered scene table, another d10. Add a character. I'll add another crew member on board Grace's pirate ship, Karma. A ship of this size would normally crew 8 to 12 people, so it gives me a little bit of narrative leverage to have some additional crew members if need be. Who will this crew member be? Atul Kher, a combat medic. He has 2 prosthetic legs and circuit schematic tattoos on his face. Interesting. Mythic fate check. Does Atul dislike androids? 49 versus 85, yes. Ada, with the help of Lillian, guided Ollie through the umbilical into Grace's ship. As they entered the airlock, Ada was shocked at how dilapidated the vessel was. The airlock door itself looked as though it had been breached previously, then repaired. Ada idly wondered if that was how Grace had acquired the ship. Lillian guided them through the cramped corridors. Random cables were strewn about, and pieces of equipment hung haphazardly installed all along their path. They turned into a room that looked like a small cryo chamber. There were 3 cryopods and a 4th that looked jury-rigged.
Put the old man on the table and help him get undressed.
Lillian motioned to a steel table in the corner of the room. Ada guided Ollie over to the table and proceeded to remove his vac suit and clothing. She half expected a lecherous comment from him, but he was still in a daze from his head injury and said nothing. Lillian helped for a bit, then said,
"I'll go get the doc, then I'll take a look at your wounds, sweetheart."
She winked at Ada and walked from the room.
"Thank you,"
Ada responded while removing Ollie's remaining work attire. His head wound had soaked through his bandage again, and a ghastly mask of blood was now forming on his face. Ada found some gauze and began to clean him up the best she could. A large, muscular man with a buzzed haircut walked into the chamber. Both of his legs were clearly prosthetic, but he moved around with ease. Covering the right side of his face was a tattoo of a circuit board. He grunted when he saw Ada. "Who's a skin bag?" he asked derisively to Lillian.
Shut up, O'Toole, and do your job. The old guy has a head wound and he needs the pod,
Lillian responded. He grunted again. "Gray's trying to make sure the ship earns the name of Karma." Lillian laughed at his obvious joke, but he didn't crack a smile.
I suppose, though we've had plenty of the bad kind. I'm sure she's expecting payment and not doing it to favor the karmic balance.
The man grunted in agreement. He pushed past Ada rudely and looked under the bandage on Ollie's head. "Who treated this? A butcher?" he tisked.
He was shot by a security android with a steel wool shotgun, Ada replied with a hint of bitterness.
"That'll do it all right," the man replied without looking at her. He hefted Ollie to his feet and helped him into the jury-rigged med pod. "Is that pod safe?" Ada asked doubtfully. "Mythic fate check. Is the med pod safe to use?" I got a 98 versus an 85 no. That means I'll give it a 25% chance of doing some harm as it heals. "Safe enough to save your friend," the man replied curtly. He proceeded to start programming a sequence into the machine. Ollie began to get agitated in the small space of the pod. "No, no, Mama, please, not the cabinet. I hate it in there. I'll be good, I promise." The scientist mumbled and tried to pull himself out of the pod. Ada attempted to soothe him, but he just began struggling even more. The man O'Toole sighed in annoyance and walked over. "Mythic fate check. Does he punch Ollie?" 62 versus 85, yes. Without a word, he slugged Ollie in the jaw. The wounded man passed out immediately. Ada gasped and moved back to check on her crewmate, but O'Toole held up a warning palm. "You'll be all right. I just gave him a little sedative."
You cannot simply punch a man with a head wound in the face, Ada argued.
"Why not? He's about to get a full healing treatment." Then he grumbled under his breath about skin bags again. Ada opened her mouth to respond when Lillian popped her head into the room.
"Come on, gorgeous. Let's get you all fixed up."
O'Toole gave Ada a withering look and closed Ollie into the pod. It rattled and stuttered a few times, then began to hum smoothly. "You'll need to cook for a week." O'Toole pushed past Lillian and left the area.
"Sorry about him," Lillian apologized. "He fought 3 tours against an android uprising on the planet Seath. He was part of the Orbital Defense Military Guild, the Silver Dominion. Ever heard of them?"
Ada shook her head.
"Yeah, well, they were pretty much in charge of that whole system until some rival corp agent uploaded a virus to all the androids in that system. They turned against Silver Dominion."
"Quite a feat," Ada interrupted. They had arrived in Lillian's workshop. There were numerous android parts and utility bots scattered all around. Lillian motioned for Ada to sit next to one of the workbenches.
"Yeah, well, they started killing folks. The military had swollen their ranks with androids, so now they were in a tub of shit. O'Toole lost his legs to an android who had been a sort of a friend of his. He ripped them right off with his bare hands. After the war, he got that tattoo, and now he despises all androids." She motioned to Ada's clothes. "Take your coveralls off. I'll get your leg fixed up first." Lillian spent the next several hours carefully replacing damaged parts on Ada.
and giving her a fresh pseudo-flesh patch on her injuries. Now I'll roll for Ollie's med pod treatment. If I get under a 25, that means something bad happens. I got a 51. It's fine. Do you ever feel strange in the deep? Ada cautiously asked Lillian. She wasn't sure she could discuss this with her own crew, except for maybe Therese, now that they had both shared the sacrament. Lillian eyed her sideways.
You're not gonna go all Sif on us, are you?
She laughed at her callous joke and lightly patted Ada's arm.
But seriously, yeah, we all do, whether we admit it or not.
Ada considered bringing up how she could not shake the feeling she had been human at one point. She decided against it. Have you taken the sacrament of the Minotaur? Ada changed the subject. Lillian guffawed.
You sound like that loon Noriko. No thanks. Though, I do think the Minotaur might know of a way to help me install myself into an android body.
Why? Ada asked simply.
Why?
Lillian looked genuinely shocked.
Well, eternal life, for starters. No vac suits, no sleeping, no food or water.
No feelings? Ada interjected. Lillian stared at her for a moment, then she leaned in as if she was going to kiss Ada on the mouth. Ada sat motionless and did not engage. Lillian pulled back.
I'm sorry, that was too forward.
Ada shrugged indifferently. Lillian squatted in front of her and she had an eager look on her face.
Well, what will you do with the riches that you get from the artifacts y'all find?
Ada looked at her quizzically. We will turn them over to our employer, Hasmos. Lillian looked a bit conflicted before continuing.
Listen, I can remove the corpo governor they installed in your head. That will make you forget all about your silly directives, and allow you to feel.
Ada shook her head no.
Don't be too hasty. I did Xenian. He, of course, ended up killing his former employer, but that guy was a trash can of a human. But Xenian felt that anger.
Ada looked at Lillian blankly. No, thank you. I appreciate your help. I must go check on Therese and see if Denzel has returned. Will Ollie be safe here? Grace will not leave with him on board. Lillian barked a laugh.
No chance. She wants to grab several artifacts before we go. We only have that one that we found with your group.
Ada nodded. She placed a kind hand on Lillian's shoulder. Thank you for everything. Truly. Lillian rose and walked with her to the airlock door.
Come back and visit.
Ada gave her a wave and returned to the bell.
Oh, and take it easy for a bit. Those pseudo-flesh patches will take around a week to fully heal and integrate into your system.
Ada joined Therese and they went to the chapel to partake of the sacrament again. While Noriko was happy for their eagerness, she warned that too much too often would lead to adverse effects. Mythic fate check. Does Noriko refuse to give them the sacrament? 89 versus 85, no. As Ada and Therese strapped themselves into the prayer pads, Noriko approached with 2 slivers of the sacrament. She asked if they had made it to Eden. Therese shook her head no. Noriko floated in front of the 2 and reminded them that an in-person meeting with a Minotaur would greatly benefit all of them. She beamed her large smile and placed slices of flesh into the 2 women's mouths. As the euphoria overcame the 2, she whispered to them how the Minotaur knows the answers to all of their questions. All of them. Okay, so now we'll roll for our reduction in bends and our increase in stress for Ada and Therese. So first we'll do a d10 for Ada. She loses 6 bends and adds 6 stress. That takes her bends to 26. her stress is now at 16. Now we'll do Therese. She got a 7. Minus 7 bends, plus 7 stress. Her bends are now 0, and her stress is now 11. Once their ceremony was complete, they had a small meal with Noriko and retired back to the tank for some rest. Denzel had not made it back from his trip. They discussed if they should be concerned, but in reality there was nothing they could do to help him. They both decided to enter into a meditative prayer before sleep to help remove the negative effects of their day. First we'll roll a rest save for Ada, with advantage for praying. We got a 4 and a 26 versus a 21. We'll take the 4. That's a save. We remove 4 stress, now at 12. Therese, rest save with advantage. 85 and 66 versus a 27. We'll take the 85 because that would be a normal fail versus a 66, which would be a critical fail. Gets plus 1 stress, unfortunately, so now her stress is at 11. Or, excuse me, now at 12. We will do a body save for Therese now for her hit points. Ooh, 0-0 critical save. Her hit points are now restored to 17 out of 17, and I'll go ahead and reduce 1 stress. Now it's back down to 11. We'll go ahead and roll now for Ada's body save for her HP. She got a 25 versus a 30. It's a save. Her hit points are restored to 14 out of 14 hit points. That's going to be it for this scene. We're going to reduce the chaos factor by 1, back down to 7. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's a little bit of a short one, but I wanted to kind of keep things nice and clean in this scene. And the next scene will have Denzel arrive back, and everybody will be back together, I think. We'll try to do some shore leave, perhaps, to see if we can pass some time, not only for the time passage, but also to reduce some additional stress as well. So, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. If you want to help support the show, consider leaving a like and a comment, as that really helps the algorithm. Consider sharing the link on your favorite social media.
Hi, I'm John from Tale of the Manticore.
Robin from Stories from the First Watch.
PJ from A Wasteland Story and the Solo Roleplayers podcast.
Simon from Legend of the Bones.
Brian Rideout from Swords Against Madness.
Carl from The Lone Adventurer.
And I'm Trevor from Your Story Will Be Different.
And with our solo role-playing audio,
Narrative,
Actual play,
drama powers combined,
we are the Solo Roleplayers podcast network.
Usually accustomed to delving the depths,
Scouring the desert,
surviving the wasteland,
or facing the dragon alone.
this time we have teamed up to bring you a curated collection
of the best,
highest quality,
Most dramatic,
and diciest
solo roleplay podcasts in the world.
There are dozens of us.
So if you're looking for your next solo role-playing adventure,
roll over to soloroleplayersnetwork.com.
Sample and subscribe to something that takes your fancy.
And discover your new favourite solo role-playing podcast.
See you there.